Well, this is my first reaction video, I guess. I've produced plenty of reaction videos, but I've never done my own. So this is kind of a fun little experiment. It's also obviously not going to be me reacting to TikToks. It's just going to be me being increasingly upset by, a senator. But that's kind of more my speed, and I'm assuming if you're watching that, that's more your speed. So I guess we'll just hop in and I don't know. I'm kind of just doing what I always do when I watch these types of things, but I recorded it this time and occasionally yelled at the lens here. So let me know if you dig it, but also let me know if you hate it. This doesn't need to be a thing I ever do again, or it can be a thing I do a lot more if it's like, yeah, more of that. So keep me posted, and I don't know, here's the intro, and then let's get into me being pissed at Senator Hawley. Misinformation. Okay, well, here we go.
And I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Missouri, Senator Hawley.
Senator from Missouri.
Mr. President.
All right, one thing real quick before we even get to Hawley's bullshit. I just have to think that Mitch McConnell loves yielding his time. Like, he just has the voice for it, and he relishes it, and I yield my I don't know. Whatever.
Thank you.
Mitch McConnell sucks.
I want to begin this evening by saying thank you to the men and women of the Capitol Hill Police, the unarmed, the National Guardsmen.
Oh, the people who weren't there?
And others who came to this Capitol, who put their lives on the line.
Oh, and then
to protect
came
everyone here working inside of it.
Yeah, they came to the Capitol, of course. After what type of inciting incident? I wonder. Could it be that there were senators beforehand, before this day even, that suggested that something was wrong with the election and they would object to the certification of Joe Biden as the next president? Has someone done that? Was there like a lead up to these horrific events?
Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley says he will object when Congress convenes to certify the Electoral College vote next week.
And I want to thank law enforcement all across this country, in my home state of Missouri and everywhere else who do that day in and day out.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Yeah.
And I just want to acknowledge that when it comes to violence, this has been a terrible year in America this last year. We've seen a lot of violence against law enforcement, and today we saw it here.
Fuck you. Fuck you. I can't. This is the guy who wants to take away the internet. But don't worry, he's also cool with fascism.
In the capital of the United States. And in this country, in the United States of America, we cannot say emphatically enough, violence is not how you achieve change. Violence is not how you achieve something better. Our Constitution...
Look at Mitt Romney just boring into the back of his head. Just furious. He knows. He was just like this guy who did all but tell people to storm the Capitol. I don't love Mitt for a number of reasons, but Mitt's a keeper. Also double masked. Appreciate that.
Was built and put into place so that there would be, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, no appeal from ballots to bullets, which is what we saw, unfortunately, attempted tonight.
Under your encouragement, as a result of yours and fucking Ted's encouragement. I don't feel the need to react to Ted's video, mainly because it would just be like me screaming expletives.
And that's why I submit to my colleagues that what we're doing here tonight is actually very important. Because for those who have concerns about the integrity of our elections, those who have concerns about what happened in November, this is the appropriate means. This is the lawful place where those objections and concerns should be heard.
Oh, fuck
this
this
is
guy.
the forum that the law provides for. Our laws
I
for those concerns.
I indicated that
not through
our
violence,
democracy should...
not by appealing from ballots to bullets, but here in this lawful process.
And there are no actual concerns, though. Like, there are wrongness does not need to be represented in Congress. A differing of ideas, sure, but political parties should not be there to just represent wrongness. I mean, Ted Cruz made this argument too. This notion that, or at least I'm assuming this is where Hawley's going, but this notion that we low-key are kind of fashy, but also, like, we gotta let the people be heard because people believe in a false thing that they have been tricked into believing by a number of agents. Of course, the fashy right extremist groups in the US, but also, like, you think Russia and China aren't infiltrating various groups to coax these fires on and watch the seeds of authoritarianism spread, grow, germinate. I feel like I was going for something biblical, and I just went full kindergarten. Show me your lima beans.
And so to those who say that this is just a formality today, an antique ceremony that we've engaged in for a couple of hundred years, I can't say that I agree. I can't say that our precedents suggest that. I actually think it's very vital what we do. The opportunity to be heard, to register objections is very vital because this is the place where those objections are to be heard and dealt with, debated, and finally resolved. In this lawful means, peacefully, without violence.
Let me just back on up here. Oh, Ian, when I wanted to undo democracy and wasn't going to agree to certify a democratically elected leader, I didn't mean we should go as far as install a dictator. I didn't mean that when I was intentionally chipping away at the foundations of our democracy. Don't worry. That was just I didn't mean it like that. When I said burn it all down, figuratively.
Without attacks, without bullets. And so, Mr. President, let me just say now briefly, in lieu of speaking about it later, a word about Pennsylvania, which is a state that I have been focused on, objected to, as an example of why people are concerned, millions of Americans concerned about our election integrity. The state of Pennsylvania, quite apart from allegations of any fraud, you have a state constitution that has been interpreted for over a century to say that there is no mail-in balloting permitted except for in very narrow circumstances that's also provided for in the law. And yet, last year, Pennsylvania elected officials passed a whole new law that allows universal mail-in balloting and did it regardless of what the Pennsylvania Constitution says.
You're not from Pennsylvania, so clearly not your fight, not your hill to die on. You weren't invited to this poker game, sir. What is this bullshit? So you give us this whole grandstanding, of course, about how, you didn't encourage violent action, but you fed the flames of doubt in our system, which already was experiencing and continues to, is now, there is no trust. See my last video, or one of my last videos, I don't know, I'm going off the rails these days.
And then when Pennsylvania citizens tried to go and be heard on this subject before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, they were dismissed on grounds of procedure, timeliness, in violation of that Supreme Court's own precedent.
Okay, so he does this whole bit on grandstanding at the beginning about how violence is wrong and we have to trust our democracy before he jumps into, tearing down trust in the democracy with this whole talk, but also has the ability to say that, the Capitol is where, we do it by the rules and the procedures. But when these other people did it by the rules and the procedures and it didn't go their way, well, that was just, that time it didn't count. That time they should have stormed on in there.
So the merits of the case have never been heard. The constitutionality of the statute actually has never been defended. I'm not aware of any court that has passed on its constitutionality. Actually, I'm not aware of anybody who's defended the constitutionality. And
You're
this
not
was
from
this
Pennsylvania.
was the statute that governed this last election, in which there are over 2.5 million mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. This is my point, that this is the forum. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court hasn't heard the case. There's no other court to go to hear the case in the state. And so this is the appropriate place.
No, it isn't.
For these concerns to be raised.
No.
Which is why I have raised them here.
The concerns have been
raised. I hope
raised.
that this body will not miss.
You just listed all the places they've been raised and they moved right along, and now you're going to raise these concerns? If you have concerns, nobody cares about the concerns of based on falsehood. Nobody cares about your concerns that you got abducted by aliens on Billy's farm last summer, because you didn't. No one believes you, okay, Sam? Go home.
The opportunity to take affirmative action to address the
Nice reappropriation of affirmative action.
concerns of so many millions of Americans. To say to millions of Americans tonight that violence is never warranted, that violence will not be tolerated, that those who engage in it will be prosecuted, but that this body will act to address the concerns of all Americans across the country. We do need an investigation into
Mitt Romney
irregularities,
glare.
fraud. We do need
He's
a
blinking
way
so he doesn't
forward
cry
together.
from
We
anger.
need election security reforms. I bet my friends on the other side of the aisle don't disagree with that. We need to find a way to move forward on that together so that the American people from both parties, all walks of life, can have confidence in their elections and that we can arrange ourselves under the rule of law that we share together.
Just two dead stares there as they listen to this man lie, who's now been called to resign for inciting these incidents, and on the very day is trying to distance himself as much as possible. I mean, I'll give him credit. He at least knows he's in the wrong. But as opposed to admitting that and apologizing in any way, he's just doubling down on like, well, this violence thing wasn't cool, but, you know, we really got to make sure that we just continue to make people doubt everything it is that I do as a senator. But also, I'm the only one who can do it in this forum because we're the Senate, I guess. I mean, I suppose if you've been in Mitch McConnell's Senate for the past 4 years, you probably do feel like you're the forum for every case to be adjudicated and just kind of rule with an iron fist of backwards conservatism. Don't worry, that'll really go well for us over the course of the next century.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Finally.
So your business isn't on Wix yet?
Oh, an
Forget that over
ad!
video.
Nice. He's not the worst because our president's the worst. But he's among the worst. Screw that guy.